Mehul, PPT I have sent you also, just in case my PC is not working. You can share.
No, I will take it over. If Jigar, first choice is mine.
Yeah.
If there's any problem, just ping me.
Okay.
हाँ, अभी मैं YouTube पे live कर रहा हूँ.
हाँ.
Wait, but start no.
No, but this I have to do before.
Okay.
Put the screen.
Yeah. Okay. हाँ, अभी मैं YouTube पे live कर रहा हूँ.
हाँ.
Wait, but start no.
Okay now, guys?
Yeah, looks fine.
हेलो राजीव जी, मैं जरा एक मीटिंग में हूँ वेबिनार का. मैं वो एक वेबिनार just हो रहा है.
Mehul, can you see the screen clearly?
No.
Huh?
No.
So should I screen sharing clear नहीं है तुषार? PDF share करो तो जरा.
एक सेकंड ना.
PDF डाउनलोड करो. क्योंकि दिख नहीं रहा है, स्क्रीन एकदम हेजी दिख रहा है. मे बी मेरा JPG बराबर से बना नहीं है.
नहीं, मेरे को तो ठीक दिख रहा था.
नहीं, दिख नहीं रहा है. PDF से मैं करता हूँ JPG.
एक मिनट.
The typical webinar attire, shorts below the shirt.
I know. You saw it. That's why I said, let me go for a bathroom break before. You know,
we have these BNI meetings every Friday.
Yeah.
I'm sure you must have heard of BNI.
Yeah.
So we are all in boxers, and on top we have our jackets.
I took out the shirt after. So, you know, it's that's why I said let me go now. There are only a few people.
Yeah.
No, I know someone. You know that Australia there was something, some lady who was working out of her home and she.
Jigar, देख.
I can't see the screen clearly.
It's not very clear.
What?
I don't know, yeah.
Okay.
You know, Jigar, what you need to do, you need to broaden the image.
मेरे को एकदम clear दिख रहा है.
I can see it clearly now. Slightly hazy though, but ठीक है.
It's okay. It's fine.
What is the time now? So we'll put ourselves on mute, and I am broadcasting now. Okay. After a few minutes, once I see the participants inside, I will take a call and I'll start this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. मेरा स्क्रीन में आपका भी पिक्चर दिख रहा है क्या आपको? Mehul?
Sorry?
Can you see the box of all our faces?
Yeah.
So मैं वो close कर रहा हूँ. Okay, now it's closed.
Okay. No.
हाँ? Of course you're seeing my screen. Your screen में नहीं है.
I can see you. I can see Bimal, Jigar, myself.
No, you can see that, but my screen, what you're seeing in my screen.
No, I can still see the webinar by Shri Bimal Mehta.
But only that much ना. पहले तो जब भी मैं शेयर किया था तो वो भी बॉक्स दिख रहा था ना मेरा. See now, just tell me now what you can see me.
I can see you.
No, not in your box, in my screen.
Oh, so the first slide is there, no?
अरे यार, Mehul.
Yeah.
See, when I'm sharing my desktop now,
Yeah.
what can you see? Just tell me. एक
I
photo
don't
निकाल
see
के
your
मुझे
desktop.
दिखा. हाँ, but desktop में मैं भी दिख रहा हूँ क्या? वो मैं पूछ रहा हूँ. नहीं ना? On your side panel, you may be seeing all of us. That's
Yeah.
okay. But
I'll send you an image of what I can see.
okay. You send it on where?
On your personal chat.
Yeah, but as Mehul.
Yeah. On WhatsApp, I've sent you the image.
No, I've not received Mehul.
आएगा.
आएगा बोलेगा. Mehul नहीं आया.
Yeah, it's taking a little time. I've got some net issues out here, no? So it'll come.
Okay, anyway, I'm broadcasting now.
Yeah. You got it, Tushar? Now check. Now check it. It's reached you.
CMYK. Intuitively, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black are just colors to the eye. Together, they're a window of infinite possibilities of shades, design, meaning, and communication. It took hundreds of years for these four colors to find expression of their fullest potential, starting with the gift of pigments from Mother Nature, allowing humans to expand the possibilities of expressing themselves. The marriage of the pigment and a thick fluid is what leads us to its child, which is then groomed into what we recognize as the modern-day ink. The ink, needing a playground to radiate its glow to the world, finds a partner called paper. Pigments, ink, and paper bring a significant sense of perception to the human eye. The laws of nature are indifferent to these three musketeers, imposing the sense of longing to expand, to grow, to multiply, to break barriers, and to flourish. The thirst of expanding is quenched by the magnificent invention of the printing press. Brainchild of a German goldsmith named Johann Gutenberg, changed the face of communication in the year 1450. The healthy consequence of invention is innovation which resulted into a series of iterations in printing technology, leading us to modern-day printing. Guarded by offset printing on one end and digital printing on the other, the spectrum of printing has stormed its presence in every nook and corner of the world. Right from the start of analog offset printers with multiple plates to on-demand computer-generated digital printers, both garner equal attention till date. Digitization took the world to another level, but the root essence of traditional tangible print still holds strong. Holding a print in hand promises the feeling of satisfaction and intimacy. Today, you can't help but notice print in almost everything. Pigments, ink, paper, and printing press together color our material world, which is a delight for the eye, a burst of creativity for the heart, and sense of appreciation and gratitude for the soul. In the quest of making a grand first impression to the world, print industry needed a symbiotic relationship which is beyond itself. Enter the world of packaging, an industry which evokes emotion out of print, a partner which adds a tangible dimension to the abstract designs, a force which combines shapes, sizes, and textures to present beauty to the world, whether you're this or that, here or there, asleep or awake. Printing and packaging embraces you all. Be part of the beauty and share the light of joy and creativity. Print is forever because colors are forever. Welcome to the vibrant world of print.
Superb, Tushar. That was brilliant. Could you share that with us, Tushar, later on?
Mehul, I think you can begin now.
You want to wait another 5 minutes? We are only 51.
Let us begin. Mehul, then join me. Okay?
Okay. Good afternoon, friends, printers from various printing presses, and on behalf of the President Tushar Dhote, the Vice Presidents Ashok Holkar and Prakash Cancer, and all managing committee members, our backend team, we welcome you all to the webinar, which is going to be shortly taken over by Bimal. And like you all know, the subject of our webinar today is a successful journey from the analog platform to the digital platform, and how Vakils have conquered this journey very seamlessly. And Bimal is going to speak about that. But before we go on, I just hope on behalf of everybody that you guys are all safe and slowly and steadily starting your factories and presses with people trickling in. And I hope we all can start work as soon as possible. So before we move ahead, a little about Bimal. I would say he's the blue-eyed boy of MMS, I think. Always ready to help us, always willing to share his knowledge and thoughts with us, and always added a lot of value to all our events. So thanks, Bimal, for being here. And a little about you is Bimal is the managing director at Vakil's Pre-Media Private Limited, which is a global pre-media and IT services company. And Vakil's Pre-Media is a subsidiary of Vakil and Sons Private Limited, which is popularly known as Vakil's over the years. And Vakil's in turn is a premier printing and publishing firm based out of Mumbai. And over the last 2 decades, Bimal has been an integral part in the restructuring of Vakil's from a traditional print company to a technology-driven ITES company. I'm going to quickly let you know some of the milestones achieved by Bimal over the years. He's instrumental in bringing Bone and Company, which is also listed at the New York Stock Exchange. And recently it was acquired by R.R. Donnelley, which is the world's largest financial printing company to India. He's also responsible in setting up an equity joint venture between Perivan Limited, which is a technology firm based in London, and Vakil's Pre-Media. And this company provides software solutions for all financial and professional services. Very interestingly, before joining Vakil's, Bimal worked at CRISIL as a research associate, and he was part of the founding team to set up the information services business at CRISIL. And Bimal is an MBA from the Boston University Graduate School of Management. Uh, he is wearing a lot of hats at the moment, but I'm just going to name a few. Currently, Bimal is the member of the governing body of the Somaya Vidya Vihar University. He's a trustee of the Somaya Hospital, International Board of Advisory at the Boston University, member of the Accent Foundation, and he's also the vice president of the American Alumni Association, honorary secretary of the Indo-American Society. The list could go on. Bimal has been fantastic at his work. Without wasting much time, I'm going to ask Bimal to take over. Bimal, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thanks, Mehul, for the uh, wonderful introduction. I think I don't deserve all of this, but thanks. It's a pleasure to be meeting all of you virtually. Again, I hope you're all safe and healthy. Your families are doing well, and and special thanks to Tushar for inviting me to do this webinar. I'm not sure after this webinar he'll probably want to not talk to me because I'm not sure whether I'm kind of doing justice to that I would do enough justice, but that's for later. So I am going to be talking about not so much about my company, but more so about the trends, the technology, and how is that impacting the printing industry as well as the overall industries. And so this is 1 minute. Let me just so I'm going to break this up into the following: why we need to reinvent our business, uh, talking about key disruption trends for 2019. Just a few. There are a lot more, and I'm going to run through this a little faster because I don't want to spend too much time on this. Talking about a little bit about convergence of print and digital. And here, when I say digital, please don't confuse this with digital printing. It's more technology. Digital is a very loosely used term, so it's kind of can be a little misleading. I will talk a few case studies of the convergence of technology and print. Many of these companies I have actually have worked with. So I've seen them on close quarters. So I can talk a little bit about my own personal experiences there. And finally, talk about the Vakil's journey from a printing company to a more technology services. And a lot of you have, know about our about Vakil's, and who we are and what we do. So, and, and many of you, also know about my journey into a more IT and IT enabled services space. And finally, I will end with some of the organization mantras which I have kind of, learned over the years, and, picked up, starting from Pranav Bhai, who has, I remember when he asked us that, do you all have a 3-year term plan, business plan? And, I didn't even, though I went to an MBA school, I didn't have that. So, I owe it a lot to him to kind of help me start thinking on those lines. And hopefully I will do justice to his, to his knowledge, and hopefully I've learned something from him. So that's basically the structure. And so why we need to reinvent our business in the first place? This is the fundamental question, one needs to ask our own selves. And, I begin with a quote from Jeff Bezos, who said, in today's era of volatility, there's no other way but to reinvent. The only sustainable advantage you have over the others is agility. That's it, because nothing else is sustainable. Everything else you create, someone else will replicate. And it's so true, because there's very little which someone cannot replicate. So why do we need to change? We need to, so we printers, and especially, commercial printers, more so in today's time, need to accept that selling ink on paper is not enough. Uh, Most buyers assume that we would give them good service and quality. It's given, you can't go and tell a print buyer that abhi mera quality, is very good. It's, I'll give you good quality and good service. And that is, they'll say that that is kind of accepted. That is something which is assumed. And so if you're giving good quality and service, which you have to, the only consideration is price. It all boils down to price. So printers that keep selling on price and nothing else will eventually fail to form good customer partnerships. And, if I'm to be a little harsh, some may even struggle to stay in business. Um, so, what can we do? Is there something which we can do? We need to start selling a more involved service to our clients. That is something which we have to start doing. Printers should no longer be seen as commodity suppliers, but instead position themselves as solution providers and business partners to help their clients achieve their business goals. And some may say, what does this mean? And my subsequent slides actually, will talk about a few case studies of how printers, and these are traditional printers, and how they have evolved themselves to do exactly what I've just mentioned. Many printers already have value-added services such as design and logistics, but that is not enough. We need to go beyond that. Printers need to and that's something which almost everyone is doing. So we really need to think beyond that. Um, so what is the plan of action? Printers need to create their own action plan. I can't do it for Tushar or Mehul's company. They have to think for themselves. And the action plan in my opinion, how should you go about it? I think the first thing you need to do is ask your customers what challenges they face, because finally the customer pays the bills, and you are working because of, you are in business because of him. So ask them, you see for themselves, what are their challenges which they face. And can you then create a service offering that can address those challenges? And then finally develop a sales message that can focus on services that you can offer rather than just putting ink on paper. So, talk to your customers, see what are their pain points. And I think this is the first step that one should go about, talking about. So let me talk about, I'll briefly talk about where the world is going towards, what are the key disruption trends, because this is important to know, because finally it's based on these trends where the world is heading towards, is where we printers can then, decide on what we should be focusing on and what should our service offerings be. Um, so truly disruptive technology not only changes the way people think, but also the way they operate. And so what are the key disruption trends? And there are lots of them. And for want of time, I'm only going to list out a few of them. Web 3.0 uses artificial intelligence to make smarter search, able to filter out irrelevant informations to deliver specific sets of results. That's we've seen that in Google. Simulation and digital uh, twins, which these are tools for data visualizations that help to predict problems before they occur. So very much like Google or probably a wife, they know exactly what you're going to say before you start saying it. So these are classic examples that two people know your mind better than you know it. So that's an example. The wife was in jest, but you get the picture. Uh, the the other trend is the market for one. One, did I? Yes, sorry, I thought I'd missed a slide. So the market for one, developing capabilities to measure specifically what an individual customer wants. Data has made it possible to communicate directly with the consumer to create the most rewarding B2C experience. So what does this mean in layman terms? In this pandemic, we have all watched Netflix like never before. That's probably kept us going in the last 4 months. And every time you watch a Netflix movie or a TV show, Netflix would then give you recommendations based on what you have been watching. So if you want to watch crime, they will give you a bunch of crime TV shows which as a recommendation. And this is it's only driven through technology. This is creating a most rewarding B2C experience. Amazon does this also exceedingly well. So almost every large technology company uses this tool. Voice technology, I can't, we get more and more videos and voice on our WhatsApp, posts, and, it has redefined the way we interact with machines. So, it could be videos, it could be voice. It's Alexa, you can, use Alexa, Amazon, the Echo, all these tools to actually take voice to a different level. Whether you're in your car or in your home, you just say, Alexa, what's the weather? And they will tell you what's the weather, whether it is traffic from here to Prabhadevi, from Nepean Road to Prabhadevi. And you're using voice technology, using voice and technology to create an experience like never before. Strategic automation, the combination of AI and robotics, artificial intelligence and robotics, is driving efficiencies and automation in the future factory of our future. More and more of our factories are now driven by robots and artificial intelligence. The factory of the future is or the present is so different from what it used to be. The presence of artificial intelligence in every machine application and process. And that is, be it your mobile phones, your laptops, your car, and obviously, technology which goes beyond, machines, and, all of that has AI built into it. And the last, one of the last things which I'm talking about in this slide is the growth of SaaS, which is nothing but software as a service and cloud computing. And this is cutting IT infrastructure costs tremendously. More and more applications are moving onto the cloud. Tally is going on the cloud. And it is because of this whole growth of software as a service and cloud that in the pandemic we've been able to actually work remotely. They're saying work from home. How is this possible? It's mostly from this kind of technology. So and this is it's going to be part of our lives going forward. So no more do you need high infrastructure costs because of cloud computing. One of my favorite trends is, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this because the world is moving to a subscription model. And this is a book by Tien Tuzo, who said, what are the common trends amongst these three groups of companies, whether it be GE, Amazon, or Uber? They are all succeeding because they recognize that we now live in a digital world, and this world customers are different. The way people buy has changed for good. We have new expectations as consumers. We prefer outcomes over ownership. We prefer customization, not standardization. We want constant improvement, not planned obsolescence. We want we want a new way to engage with business. We want services, not products. The one size fit approach isn't going to cut it anymore. And to succeed in this digital world, companies have to transform. And they have transformed. These are companies which are typical B2C companies. And we know all of these and how they have actually moved from selling a product to moving to a subscription based model. And most of it you can recognize. Adobe has very successfully moved from from selling a box to a subscription model. Their sales went down when they first announced it in 2011, and now Adobe is ruling the roost both in the stock market, and they start every year with $5 billion of recurring revenue. So imagine we start a financial year on 1st of April, knowing how much recurring revenues we have money in the bank almost at the start of every financial year. Wouldn't that be great? So Adobe's reached that situation only because they moved to a subscription model. Volvo, which is the last icon on the extreme right, is they sell cars. We all know that, but Volvo expects that by 2023, one out of every 5 cars will be sold on a subscription basis. So you don't need to buy a car, you just need to subscribe to Volvo's subscription service business, and they will provide you the car with all the maintenance, the insurance, all of it. You just have to pay for the gas. And you can buy the car, you don't have to buy the car, and you can use it for 6 months. And you say, for the next 6 months, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to be sitting in my townhouse in Lonavla, and I don't need a car, and you can stop the subscription service. New York Times, but in 2017, and I'm sure this has even become more so, makes more revenues out of their digital subscription service than their advertising revenues. So effectively, New York Times cares less about their physical newspaper than their actual subscribers. They are more focused now on getting more subscribers and less focus on actually delivering physical newspapers to their readers. So you may say that although all these are all services company, manufacturing mein to ye nahi ho sakta hai, so let me tell you an example about Komatsu, we all know that this is the oldest and one of the largest construction companies. And they started a new service called smart construction, which is using laser technology, which drives mobile automation. And what it does, they have drones which measure the amount of area that needs to be excavated. So if they go to a construction site and they go and say the coastal road in Mumbai, and so much of they look at the area and say you need to excavate 10,000 metric cubic meters of soil. With this model, now they've started charging their customers on the amount of dirt they would be removing, rather than on rental of their construction, of their cranes or their excavators. So suddenly this they say that our basis of selling is on the amount of dirt we can excavate, and based on that we will then provide you provide you an entire service around it, including how much equipment you will require. And apparently, as I've read, Komatsu actually this service offering is growing faster than their traditional business. So there is a lot of growth which will happen through the subscription model. So basically every single industry is now going through a major tech business model, going through a technology oriented disruption. So it's basically affecting almost every industry. So what's happening with with print, and it's basically converging with digital. uh, Data is going to unlock the complexity of every customer journey, and we can understand and connect with them at at the right time. So, and we have to realize that every customer is going to be different. So data is the key, and every customer is going to be different. So what are the digital trends in communication and marketing? Data driven markets will focus on the individual. Each individual is different. Customization is now the new mantra, not standardization. Multi marketing channels, you cannot focus on just one channel. There'll be some customers who will want to see it in print, some will want to see it in a digital form, some may want to see it on a video form. Again, as I mentioned earlier, artificial intelligence is driving campaigns and experiences. They're in all marketing campaigns. It's highly driven by technology. Video is increasingly building brand awareness. The video Tushar showed had such a large impact. If he had spoken about it, then maybe the impact would have not been so strong. So the classic case of how video is probably the way to go. Social marketing, I'm sure most of y'all are reading WhatsApp posts rather than listening to me, and that's understandable because there's more interesting stuff there than listening to me. Reaching and understanding mobile customers, mobile customers, everything is going through the mobile, and we need to understand how that behavior is going to impact us. Engaging through virtual and augmented reality, engaging the audience through this technology. Web to print technology, I think the people who have adapted to web to print have actually seen tremendous benefits. So eventually, most people who are servicing business, at least business to B2C customers, I think web to print is a tool which you cannot do without. But I'm pretty sure that's going to move towards B2B as well. Even our corporate customers will want to have some sort of a web to print technology in which we'll have to kind of bring into our workflow, to engage with them more effectively. And then digital asset management, I think, unless you can manage all your digital assets through a platform, it would be very difficult. So these are some of the trends. So in the coming years, mobile devices will be the gateway to the physical world. Everything around us will be taggable, scannable, or reachable. The world around us will become the interface. So let me, this is a lot of gyan, which, it says, that's great, but what, are there any real life examples which we can relate to? And yes, they are. And I'll talk a little bit about some of them. So let me start with a quote: in the business climate driven by powerful digital forces, disruption and rapid fire innovation, driven by digital forces, disruption and rapid fire innovation, every company now is a technology company. So don't think of y'all as a printing company, think of you as a technology company. That's the first thing y'all need to start moving towards, that I am a tech company. And that's the starting point for your journey towards moving towards digital. So let me talk about LSC. LSC was a spun off from R.R. Donnelley. R.R. Donnelley got spun off into three companies, and LSC was the commercial printing company. I personally work very closely with LSC, and I've kind of seen how their company has evolved. Though in COVID times they are facing a few challenges, but that's for another session. But so LSC, what do? They provide print, paper, and print. They're one of the largest printers of magazines, catalogs, books, and digital print. Like any other commercial print, no different. But they have used technology and to provide their customers with better services, to provide them value added services. So they have the LSE suite, which is there's a typo, it's called LSE suite, which is a multi-channel digital platform which allows customers to provide ebooks as well as printed books, e-magazines through this digital platform, which becomes very seamless to kind of publish it, to repurpose it and publish it almost simultaneously. So it's a very, very powerful tool. They put the files through this platform, and they at the end of it, they could get an ebook, which is almost converted through automated tools. They have some technology platforms for book publishers. Publishers are one of their largest customer segments. So what they have done is they provide this tool to the publishers, which in turn provide them to the booksellers. And this anti-piracy tool authenticates whether a book is genuine or counterfeit. So it's because most publishers would obviously lose out a lot when books are actually copied and sold at Haji Ali, and obviously it's loss of revenues, and crosswords or big Barnes and Nobles obviously do not want to buy books which are counterfeit, and this tool allows them to do that. So they're providing this value added service to their publishers. Once the publishers start getting used to this, they are more locked into LSE's printing services than otherwise. Then they do a lot of warehousing and fulfillment and postal distribution. They use a lot of automation tools there to provide a seamless logistic service to their publishers. They've also got a channel management and analytic tool which provides insights to publishers and, in distribution and asset management as well. So these tools on its own are, would actually be a great product by itself. And I've asked the LSE people, why don't you sell this or spin it off? And they might do that, but right now they are not. They're saying these are proprietary tools, and because of these tools we are able to lock our customers more into our print ecosystem than not. They do branded office furniture, stationery, and school stationery. They offer print and source management services as well. But yeah, this is a large company, and obviously they can provide a a gamut of these services. But the point I'm trying to make is that it is possible with large commercial printers. Um, Another example is Amcor. I don't know them, but they are one of the largest, and some of the packaging people may have heard of this company. It's one of the largest packaging converters in the world, and they offer flexible packaging, specialty cartons, plastic bottles, jars, and all of it. It's a full blown packaging company. And they provide technology products. They have one easy peel aluminum membrane for cans, which is it's some product which sits on their system. They have thermochromo inks which change or disappear with at set temperatures. And then they also have a lot of technology solutions like LSC. They have a digital app that offers branding protections to their customers for their goals. So this is also, they provide these tools to their customers, which could be P&G or Gillette or Hindustan Lever or Unilever. They provide these kind of solutions which basically are more value added offerings which they provide beyond just providing a carton or a capsule so that's something. They have a tool which improves the environment performance for packaging. They offer digital solutions, which again, there are lots of tools around that for customized products. So, again, like LSE, they've, kind of brought these tools, proprietary tools, to kind of provide a value added solution. This is another company whom I have closely worked with. I know the owner very well, and I had gone to his his printing plant, and I saw an inkjet press running at full blown speed, and I asked him, Adi, his name is Aditya, and it's an Indian, who lives in America, Indian American. And I said, Adi, what is the print run of this particular job? I know it was an educational book, and he says, what do you mean print run? I said, because it's been going on at such high speeds. So, I'm surprised that they're printing such large volumes. And he's saying these are multiple jobs which are running on the inkjet press. Each job is only 200 copies, 100 copies, 50 copies. And so obviously we all know inkjet allows you to do that. So what King Printers does is they maintain a database of books on behalf of their publishing clients, which is basically a print on demand. When the files arrive, they use a tool which checks for errors and all of that. And then that tool then which is basically it keeps the files on their database. The publisher will then send King Printers individual orders anywhere from 10 copies to 10,000 copies through an online ordering system. So so Harvard Bookshop would order, say, 10 copies of a book which is used, which will be used by students of Harvard University, and then MIT might order 15 copies. Wellesley might order 5 copies. So what they would do is they would go and tell the publisher that we will print on demand for you and distribute and deliver these directly to the bookshops. So you do not have to hold any stocks. You do not have to worry about logistics. We will directly print on our inkjet printer on demand and do that and then and ship it out. And this is only possible, because these books are also like 500 pages, 200 pages. These are thick textbooks, and and on very thin paper, so it has to be printed on a web press, because that's the most effective way to do it. And they print it on an HP T300 digital printer. This might have changed now because technology is moving so rapidly. And this press can print anywhere from 1 to 50. And what they do is they tell all their customers that we will have one size and one kind of paper. So all your books have to be standardized on this. That's the only way they can do it, because obviously you can't do paper change and size changes on a press when you're printing three copies or 50 copies. And then they put all the files together, and it then is running continuously. And obviously at the binding stage, they have to separate it out. So by doing this, I know King Printers have really taken a lot of business from, the large printers like Donnelly away. It's a small family run business, and they have really been very successful in taking away business from the large ones, just because they have used some technology and inkjet machines, which obviously even Donnelly has, but they basically have provided a personalized service to fulfill the needs and the pain points of their customer, which is the publisher. Um, another magazine printer has developed their own software, because now no longer are magazines on print, or it can be on magazines are read in print form as well as digital form. And most of these publishers have a really hard time to convert files from one format to another. And it's a real problem, because obviously you need InDesign files and a PDF file to print, and an ebook will require different format. And in a book, you'd still have a little time to actually do those changes manually, but not so in a magazine, because you really don't have that liberty of time. So what they did is they developed their own software to create for their clients, to create a digital version seamlessly on the fly through this software, which allowed the clients to almost instantly publish a digital version and a print version. Again, this is again marrying technology and print together. Let's move on to another company which I was hoping to tie up with in the early 90s, Moonpig, which is a online greeting card platform. And there is no joy in sending an e-card. It kills the joy out of it's not personalized. So there's nothing like a handwritten card. But most people, and if you go to a Moonpig site, they basically have hundreds of cards, and people basically do not know which card to choose, because sometimes when you have lots of choices, it becomes even more difficult. So Moonpig offers a subscription-based model, again what I talked about earlier, and using Netflix technology to kind of using analytics and to carefully tell the customer, give a customer of choices which meet their requirements. So obviously if I pick a card, my choice will be very different from my 20-year-old daughter. And through analytics and technology, Moonpig will give you recommendations. And this has helped them to increase their ink on paper business exponentially, so it is able to fight the e-card segment to some extent, and actually and have kept their printing presses busy because of this, marrying this technology with print. And more people in England are now going back to physical cards rather than e-cards because of this. um, Another company which I work with is PNI Media. It's owned by Staples, and they offer personalized products on a subscription basis. They have a, a PNI platform, which is a very powerful tool, which connects on mobile, online, desktop, or online kiosks. They sell this to large retailers. So effectively, you and me as customers could use this PNI tool to personalize photo gifts, prints, presentations, business cards. So if you want a mug, which I know Vistaprint does it, and you can, they have various designs which are available. You can personalize it and print it. But again, using very powerful tools sitting at the back end, which allows you to do that. And because of that, again, they've been able to sell more and more physical products rather than e-products. uh, so so those are some of the examples. I've worked with quite a few of them. I've seen them at close quarters, and I know how successful they have been because they have married technology and manufacturing together. So innovation doesn't always come in a form of a new product or a new technology. Sometimes it's just a new way to address an old problem. This is Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla, said that, and it's so very true. Um, so I am going to the Vakil's journey, and this is more from my own personal experience. And my father. This is a famous quote by him. He keeps joking, "You have to give me royalty for using my quote," but and many of you know him personally. And he said in one of our internal communications, in the last 70 years, Vakils has seen it all, from hot metal composing to letterpress to phototype setting to offset to digital print to CTP, and now to mobile apps and e-detailers. During these exciting times of changing technologies, we had our ups and downs, and some days we were right in the dumps. We've gone through a lot of problems. Many of y'all know the issues which we faced in the 90s. So we were right in the dumps, but we survived. We came out stronger because we befriended change. So, my Vakil's journey, or our Vakil's journey, has not been easy. It's been a road full of bumps. Uh, we did a lot of labor restructuring. We had, when I joined the company, we had 300 people working on hot metal composing. And a lot of you youngsters may not even know what hot metal composing was. And that was what was our strength in the 60s and 70s, became a major liability in the 80s. And we could not really do anything with that workforce because it was highly unionized. And we just had to keep them. And we would tell the unions that they need to be retrained, but none of them wanted to be retrained. They would refuse to work on an offset machine. They say, we are letterpress people. Either they were hot metal composers or working on a Heidelberg cylinder, and would not want to, they're saying, we will not get retrained, and we couldn't throw them out. So we had to focus a lot on restructuring, asset monetization. We had to sell some of our assets to kind of monetize ourselves, engage with customers, to kind of see what it is, machinery upgrades. And finally, I had to look at new businesses, or we had to look at new businesses, because that was the only way we could really survive through those times. So this is our print company. We were a traditional commercial offset, commercial offset and letterpress printer. We were known for our greeting cards and calendars, and our segments was annual reports, books, publicity material, stationery, newsletters, like most other people. And this is now our journey as a technology company. We provide a lot of cross-media services, e-detailing, which is nothing but an interactive visual aid. The visual aids which we print for pharmaceutical companies, like a spiral bound calendar, has now moved to what they call as e-detailing, linked to a CLM, CRM system with built-in analytics, mobile apps. We all know what that is. A host of web applications and ebook solutions. We provide a lot of these to our customers. Most of them are international. We have software products. We have a product which is, this is the joint venture which Mehul talked about. It's we have a digital board portal which allows us to disseminate board papers and conduct board meetings in a digitized and virtual form. So you can't send confidential board papers through Gmail or email, because that can it has security issues. But then board members also use this tool to kind of read these papers and and also then engage with other board members through this portal. We also have a digital asset management repository, again more for our own customers. We haven't really sold this as a standalone system. We do a lot of work in pharma, regulatory compliance, and artwork. So we started doing artwork adaptation, which is nothing but create print ready files for pharmaceutical companies. But we went beyond that. That everyone can do, but we went beyond that and started offering regulatory compliance, which is basically every company needs to make sure their artworks meet FDA standards. So we've been trained on FDA rules, regulations, which is all this food, US drug regulations. And we provide an entire gamut of regulatory compliance services to pharmaceutical companies. So just taking artworks as an example and how we have downstreamed it to provide regulatory compliance. So this is completely not print related, but because we provide both these solutions, we are able to then tap into customers better. We've started now also implementing workflows for pharmaceutical packaging divisions of pharmaceutical companies. And we work very closely with ESCO, but it could be other workflows as well. So it's the easier thing is to buy a workflow. The implementation becomes harder. So we actually now do a lot of consultancy kind of services to help them implement workflows. So, and then financial services, ebooks, e-annual reports, XBRL, which is what companies have to report to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So these are some of the other services that we do. So this is Vakil's then greeting cards, print machines. Some of them we still have them with us. So this is the old Vakils. And now many of you all have come to my office, and this is really what the new Vakils looks like. Just people behind computers, either they are pre-media people or IT people, software developers, but just people, men and women behind computers. So let me just end by talking about a few of my organizational mantras, the ones which I've picked up over the years, and it's still work in progress. I'm always learning. And so the greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence, but it is to act with yesterday's logic. What worked yesterday may not work in today's times. And so what I have done is introduce professional board. I have got independent board members, even though we are a closely held company. We are not required to have independent board directors. But I keep saying that even the CEO needs the boss. Who's going to tell me what I'm doing wrong or what I'm doing right? And and who better than an independent board member, because they have no access to crime. So I have really benefited by getting independent board members who then insist that I have a 3-year strategic plan, because unless you know what you want to achieve in the next 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, you can never really begin your journey. And my board members insist that they review this plan almost at every board meeting. I run each in business. I run a printing business. I run a technology business, and I run it independently. And even sometimes one disrupts the other business. It doesn't matter. Oops, there's a little bit of typo here, but even if it disrupts your printing business, that it don't worry that one business is eating away the other business. I have actually taken away, my technology company has taken business away from my printing business, because I've gone and told a customer, "Aap kyun print kar rahe? Print ki zarurat hi nahi hai." And he's saying, that I'm printing it from your unit only. I said, doesn't matter, because I know that was the best thing for him to do. Make your business saleable. Even though you're not going to be sell it, keep asking the questions. Why would anyone be interested? Would anyone be interested to buy your business? Keep asking this question, because you need to, if your business, no one's interested in buying your business, that means there is something wrong. And how could you do that? Is the reason why most people buy businesses is because of their quality of clients. If you have a good client base, we would all, everyone wants a client base. Reliance bought Future Group not because of its assets, and also because of its loyal client base. So focus on good quality clients. I think that is very important. Keep your business, have financial transparency, maintain financial transparency in your business, and be asset light. Don't invest too much in machinery when you don't have to. Most companies are asset light these days, and I think that should be the mantra we all should focus on. One thing I have learned is employ people smarter than you. You shouldn't be there are people who are smarter than you, and if you can employ people smarter than you, that's half your battle done. And not only employ them, empower them. Delegate as much as you can. More, focus less on operations and more on business development and strategy, because you are the one driving the business, providing leaderships. And if you're really focused on day-to-day operational problems, then you will never be able to move forward. And I have started doing that, and I'm seeing a lot of benefits. Succession plan, hit by a tow truck, hit by, what happens if my mother hated this phrase when I said that, because she's saying shub shub bolo, but I keep saying that, what if something happens to me? So have you developed a comprehensive plan for you and your top management? What if your key guy leaves? What happens to your business? Also keep in mind that your next generation may not be interested in your business. So develop a succession plan which allows you to, maintains the continuity of your business. Leverage your customer relationships. This is more important than your technical capabilities. We got into a host of annual report and financial reporting services because of our strong annual report base. We've been an annual report printer almost for the last all of our 70 years. And we had good relations with them. Maybe we lost out some on price or whatever, but we had good relations. We leveraged those relationships and got into other businesses. A lot of my XBRL services, I don't print for them, but I do their XBRL work for them. I'm doing a Tata Motors online annual report job for them. They're not giving me print and XBRL. It doesn't matter, but but I'm constantly trying to upsell and saying that, आप online annual report करते हो तो next year give me XBRL. So leverage your relationships. I leverage my international, sorry, again, a typo. I should have proofread my presentation a little better. I've also, leverage my international tie-ups into other businesses. Finally, learn from other industries. You need to get a perspective from other industries. Mehul Bhai has joined BNI. I'm sure he's getting a lot of perspectives from listening to other entrepreneurs. So, I encourage you to get involved in other entrepreneurial groups, join other trade associations, the IMC, the Small Business Mumbai, I think there was some Maharashtra Chamber of Commerce or any other, of these organizations. Don't leave MMS or BMPA, but, also get involved in other organizations, because there's so much to learn from others. And finally, I end with this. Cash is actually not king. It is now cash is emperor. I heard this phrase that cash has become so important in these times. Your monthly cash flows are more important than your P&L statements. Yes, we need to look at our P&L statements, but look at your cash flow, because that is, unless you have cash in the bank or you have good liquidity, you will never be able to get into other businesses. You will not be able to borrow effectively from the bank. You will always struggle to kind of get into new areas if you don't have cash in the bank. And I have learned this the hard way. Invest in a CFO, not an accountant, only an accountant, because CFO will help you to manage your processes, your cash management much better. Will put you and keep you in check as well. So this is something I've learned over the years. So I end my presentation with a quote from one of my heroes, childhood heroes. I've read a lot of John F. Kennedy. I've followed him very closely, and he said, "Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future." So thank you very much. I might have bored some of you. Apologize for that, but I happy to take any questions.
Bimal, this was really, really an eye opener. And, very few such presentations are so crisp and so to the point, and so many solution providers in just about an hour. So many points we miss out in our daily lives, like you very rightly said, not to get involved in the operational level of organizations, which is so important. But somehow it gets so difficult to come out of that rigmarole every day that we don't get time to focus on strategy and planning and building. It's so very well said and correctly said by you. So we're going to move on for the question and answer session. Jigar and Tushar, are we ready for that, or uh, you want to take up the question and answer session right away? Great.
Yes, Mehul.
So we have two questions which have come to us on email. We'll take those first. And we'd like to request the participants, if you have any questions, please post them into the question and answer chat box, not in the chat box, the question and answer slot. So, Bimal, we have the first question from one Mr. Pradeep Mehta, who's the Vice President at Tech Graphics. How long offset printing will be there in our industry? Can it be superseded by digital, as there are quality and Indian price structure concerns?
Personally, I don't think offset is going to go away. Yes, a lot of things are moving to digital. Short run is becoming more and more, more and more popular. But I I personally think that a lot of things will still be printed on offset. unless digital, manufacturers now are bringing in economies of scale in offset, economies of scale which offset offers into their digital presses. Till that happens, and one never knows what can actually happen. I don't think offset is really going to go away. But yes, the importance of offset is definitely diminishing, more so because of digital printing technologies that are available.
Yeah, I think that's correct, and the effective and proper marriage of digital and offset will probably see you through a
Yeah,
lot
and
of
it's not
print
again as
jobs.
yeah, it's not I think I keep hearing offset versus digital offset. I think it's offset and digital.
Yeah,
Both go hand in hand.
great. So the second question we have is from Mr. Shripad Kulkarni of Ascharya Creative Communications. Many a times, even if a printer has the vision and skills, the company may not have the business and may not have the resources to transform itself or support another entrepreneurial venture to jump to a new bandwagon. What are your 3 or 5 key recommendations to a print business owner to ensure that the company is ready and capable of implementing the ahead of the curve change? You got that, or you want me to say it again?
No, I've kind of understood the question. So yes, it is. It's a hard question, hard journey, and it's a very relevant question, and I think super question. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's extremely hard, to make that change. What I have. So what my key advices, and don't take my word for it because I've also learned the hard way. I actually set up a separate company because what was happening, to get the right kind of people into this new technology area, you require a different set of people. And like for instance, and you couldn't have the same, because then again employees would say, मैं इतना साल से काम कर रहा हूँ, I've been running your printing, I'm the general manager of your production manager, and this software guy is coming in, and he was there, he's been born after I came before I came, he's been, like I'm double his age. And how can you pay him much more? But the reality is that, you have to pay some of these people based on their market, what their market, their market requirements are. So, so I set up a separate company to do that. And you have to run it very differently. Each business you have to run differently. Let me give you, what my organizational mantras, which I mentioned, most of them, I do not run them in Vakil and Sons, my print business, because it was very difficult to change the mindset of people. So I actually run two businesses very different, and so, be prepared to run them almost differently. Yes, you will get pulled into both sides, and that's the unfortunate part as entrepreneurs. When you start something new, you have to look after two babies. Like I used to jokingly say that I have two wives and I have to keep both of them happy. So that is something which you have to do. So my first thing is, think maybe you have to set up a separate division or a separate a subsidiary, employ good people to run it. And if it disrupts one business, disrupts the other, don't worry about it, because it's going to capitalize on, one business might capitalize on the other business. So these are some of the things. And if you have good liquidity either as a family or this, you should, you play the role of a venture capital in your new business. So I borrowed a lot of money from my parent company, Vakil and Sons, but I had to pay that back. So it's the same company. We own both companies, but I ensured that the Vakil's Pre-Media, as it became self-sufficient, as the child started walking, it paid back. So every penny that we borrowed from it, and we also have some shared, and some of the things to keep costs in control. Think of shared resources. So your if you have space in your factory, don't because rents are expensive. Why pay rents to someone else when you have your own company, and you may have to charge rent for accounting purposes, but you can do that. Have a a common accounting team, have a common HR team, have a common sales team also, if required. So share some resources so that way you can keep things in control. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, pretty well. Excellent.
Yeah.
We're going to take a question from Sachin Virkar, Medhaji's son. Sachin, great to have you here.
Oh God, I'm nervous.
What Sachin has to ask is,
Sachin asking me a question is going to be very. He's a good friend, so yeah.
so what he has to ask is, we are always challenged with a chicken first or the egg first situation. What have you followed? Invest in technology first and then approach your customer, or win your customer first and then invest in technology?
I think
Seldom does one have a very smooth transition.
yeah, it's a tough one, and I knew Sachin will always ask a tough question. So it's a very, very tough question. This chicken and egg situation is something which we have to deal with all the time. Your first, yes, like for instance, when I developed some of the software solutions, you have to first develop it. You have to have a beta version to show your customers before and that itself costs money. So there is an element of risk. So the thing which I think there's no escaping that. You have to go through that pain. But the important thing is, and I have learned this the hard way, is you must understand what the customer's needs are, or where, and that's why it's so important to see where the world is moving towards. And the reason I talked about in the beginning of my presentations about key technologies which are going to impact our world, I talked about the subscription business, which is now for real. More and more companies are going towards a subscription model. You have to have one eye on where the world is moving towards. Talk to your customers. Some of your customers may not give you the answers, some will, but I think you have to do your own research and then go by gut. But yeah, and sometimes there's no escaping that. You actually have to develop the technology or get into something, take that leap into the deep end of the sea, which can be a little risky. But if you're in a services business, more so in manufacturing, then you're not making large investments in heavy machinery. That is something which you have to be very careful about. But yes, developing an app and all does cost money, but it's still much less than buying a Heidelberg press.
Great. I hope, Sachin, that answers your question. We're going to take the next question from Ramesh Ji Kejriwal.
Oh
What
God.
is the retirement age? What is the retirement age for an individual for a print company?
Well, my dad is still working, and Ramesh bhai knows my father very well. So, I think, I don't, think that, but, am, I am 52, and in the technology business, I'm already feeling I'm an old man. because everyone around me, a lot of my customers are significantly younger than I am, and all my international customers. So in my mind, in my head, I think by 60, I'll be obsolete. Uh, but Ramesh Bhai has proved us all wrong in that, he is
Absolutely.
as young as ever. And, Ramesh Bhai, I missed the morning walks with you at PDP, and, in my limited interaction, I have learned so much from him. So I think Ramesh Bhai has proven everyone wrong, that even at his age, he's far from, he's still going very strong. So there's no real retirement age. But yes, one thing is for sure, that the world is moving towards younger people, and we can see from our customers and our business partners that more and more CEOs are significantly younger, are less than 50. And as you become older, that there is a little bit of a gap, between, which could be a little bit of a problem.
Great, great, great. Another one from Pinal Shah who'd like to know, will there be more demand of packaging compared to commercial printing?
I, commercial printing is definitely, unfortunately, on the decline to some extent. We know what's happening in annual reports. We know what's happening in mutual funds. Recently, I'm sure all of you have read that the government has given directives that diaries and calendars should no longer be printed by government offices and uh, public sector units. And they could only give this directive because there are substitutes in technology. If there was, the mobile phone was not there, then they wouldn't have said that, because now you don't need a calendar and diary. You can use your mobile phone and use those tools there. So a lot of things will, eventually move into a digital space in commercial print. That's the reality. My customers in the US and Europe were surprised that India even still prints visual aids for pharmaceutical companies, because they're saying this had gone 3-4 years ago. And it's inevitable. Some of these changes are inevitable. We can't stop it. Checkbooks, are going to be, less and less checks, and bank statements and all of that. So keeping that in mind, I think, there is, commercial print is definitely declining. Fortunately for packaging printers, that's not the case. They are only worrying thing is that, there is immense competition, and sometimes you're working on very thin margins. But that's, there's definitely growth, because you cannot sell anything without putting it into some sort of package, be it a corrugated box, or folding carton, or any all those things. So I think, there's the answer is yes. Reality is commercial print will decline because of other things, which are there around us.
Superb, superb. And Medha ji has a question for you, Bimal. Was it challenging, or was it easy for Vakil's Pre-Media to have their staff working from home? And how did you ensure confidentiality of the content?
So it's I think I was pleasantly surprised that when this pandemic started, we work with companies such as Johnson and Johnson, and they are very concerned about data security, and that is absolutely prime. And we were wondering whether how will they look at that. Fortunately, because it was a global pandemic, I think they also understood, because they were facing the same challenges. Um, uh, so what we had to do was connect all our computers on a virtual private network, and keep the machines on at all times. So they basically logged on from their laptops or desktops at home into their work computer, and they worked effectively, basically worked, use their office computer to do all the tasks that they had to do. So the challenge was, yes, it was a new way of working for them. The other challenge was actually because we had to get the security guards, and now they're all trained on how to put the server off, put on the, restart the machine and all of that. So that was another challenge which because obviously, keeping the machines 24 by 7, on, because people were working at all different times, was also challenging thing. But we've tried to maintain data security as much as possible. Hopefully, I've not heard anything to the contrary, so hopefully it's all good there. But yes, it has been a challenge, and I think working from home has also posed a lot of challenges, because everyone does not have the best environment to work from home. It's easy for the government to say work from home, but it's in reality, people do have small houses, and it may not, it may be easier said than done.
Okay. And we have a participant, Sandesh, who'd like to know what's your take on sustainable food packaging using corrugated paperboards?
Whoops, I can't, I don't know. I think, maybe I should direct the questions to Ramesh Bhai to answer.
Ramesh, exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't, but I think it's that trend will be there. I think it's more and more, sustainability in general is a new mantra. A lot of my clients in European and US are, want to know about what measures we are taking for sustainability, for environment protection. How are we recycling paper? How are we recycling toner cartridges? So they want to deal with companies which are more environmentally friendly than not. So I think that trend is something which we have to, we can't ignore.
There's one question by Vinod. I think I'm going to reframe it because I think it needs to be a little altered. What he wants to ask is, where does the next generation see their business in 5 to 10 years time? I think ideally it should be how can one restructure their business for a fruitful future in the next 5 to 10 years time for the next generation.
Yeah, so more and more I found that when I came into the business, I came to help my father restructure the business, and I kind of understood the challenges. The new generation probably is not as they think very differently. They probably don't want to get into some of the, if they don't find it exciting, they won't come into the business. That emotional attachment to the family is becoming less and
True.
less. They say that I'm better off, I don't want to go through the problems you are facing. So and they have a mind of their own. We've given them the education to kind of think and dream differently, and then we can't pin them down. So you have to, if you want the next gen to come in, you probably have to see how you can move your business from one level to another, because otherwise they are not going to be interested, and allow them to do that. Then don't keep them, then don't suppress them. So I was very lucky because my father you know uh, told me to kind of think differently. By the way, I have no knowledge about printing even now. I still don't know what a rubber blanket is used for. I know I buy those rubber blankets, but Abibi, I have no clue why we have to, what a rubber blanket actually does in a printing machine. So after working for almost 25 years, I so but so my father says, don't worry about the printing side of it. We'll take care of it. You think of how we can look at the business. Think out of the box, think differently. I remember I said, who should I look up to in the printing industry? And obviously Pranab Bhai, Ramesh Bhai, these are people whom I've always looked up on. Ashok Nerkar has also been one of my mentors earlier on. But one person he said was, you know one of the finest printers in his time, or at least in the 80s, was a gentleman called Mr. Xerxes Desai, the late Mr. Xerxes Desai, who was the managing director of Tata Press at that time, and then went on uh, to set up Titan, and he said Xerxes Desai is probably the finest printer we have in Bombay. And he has no clue of printing, but a fantastic management and marketing person. And so if you want to learn something from someone, learn it from obviously the stalwarts of the industry, but learn it from Mr. Desai. And so those that word of advice still is very it still rings the bell. So this is my uh, advice to print owners, that don't expect your son or daughter to know everything about printing. That's not important. Just tell them to think differently and think out of a box.
So, Vinod, that answers your second question as well. That what proportion or percentage of youngsters will join the family business? I think the more interesting you make it, and the
Yeah.
more diversified you make it, I think more number of the younger generation would like to come in. Another one from Sachin for you, Bimal. That is, do you believe in outsourcing your services? That is, buying expertise, or would you rather do it all yourself and build the expertise in house?
No. In fact, I think it's, and Sachin knows, I think I'm a strong believer of partnerships. I think, unless you have good partners, whether it is, you cannot grow everything on your own. We've increasingly, forming partnerships around the world for providing digital pharma, digital services, all this e-detailing kind of stuff. We have tied up with agencies, because we are not good in content, we are not good in translation, we are not good in marketing strategies. They know this better. There's no point in bringing all these services in house. Work with partners, but treat them like business partners. Don't treat them like a vendor. That is my first word of advice, that be fair to them, and then you can really develop long-term win-win situations with your but you know gone are the days where you can do everything yourself. It has to be a collaborative approach.
And he says he was lucky to have you who helped him set up the production setup, but he says not everyone is as lucky. But I'm sure if people reach out to you, Bimal, you will definitely help them out in setting up
Absolutely.
their production units as well.
No,
I'm
Sachin
sure.
is a classic example of how he's evolved, and I think
Yeah.
he's done just phenomenally well. He stuck to his strengths. He knew what his strengths were, and he knew that and he knows the German market. He knows the language. He stuck to his strengths and built a phenomenal business around that. So you know, uh, you know,
Yeah.
uh, yeah.
And he's the Iron Man as well.
I know. Oh God, that's another story.
Yeah. We keep reading about his various marathons from Medaji. That's
I know.
brilliant to be
Sachin,
so
you've been an
dedicated and find
inspiration
time.
also. Yeah, Sachin, you've been an inspiration to me. At least I've ran the half marathon this year, last year, this year, early this year, and I don't think I'll ever reach your level, but probably, but at least it's something which I've inspired, taken some inspiration from you as well.
Superb. And Kedar wants to know that the speed of digitalization in India, was it the same as you expected?
Not so. No, initially it was, Indians are not so receptive, and in some ways it's been much slower. In 2008, I thought annual reports would go out of business. And no physical annual reports will no longer be, as as it'll move to digital. I'm only seeing it now, and it's probably because of the pandemic. So much, but in some sense, India has moved quite fast. In some ways, it's not moved that quickly. So it's been a mixed bag. But I think now, with the Prime Minister's push for Digital India, with the pandemic, with more and more people used to the mobile phone for many things, I think the push will accelerate, than it was before.
And we have one raise of hand. That is Prakash. You'd like to ask a question. Jigar or Tushar, one of you can mute him.
Yeah, am I audible?
Go ahead, Prakash.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
It is only that, Bimal, I am really in agreement with you when you said in one of your presentation slides that you should employ smarter people than you. Correct. But the thing is, in India, we do employ them, but we do not delegate our, we do not have proper delegation. Like it was always said earlier, I had heard it somewhere. You employ an MBA and tell him, look, this is what I want you to do. Correct.
Yes.
So we have to come out of that. This is just one of my this thing, and I'm totally in agreement with what you said. But we need to learn to delegate our work. That is, I feel, was very important.
Absolutely. I think I've learned it the hard way, and I've started delegating more and more. I tell my head of operations, who now I made him director also, and I said it's your call. I will not take the decision. And if and now he just informs me that, by the way, I'm doing this, and so it's like you don't need to know. And I think it takes a while, because we as entrepreneurs want to know everything. So I say, keep me informed, but it's your decision. It's we like to be in control of everything, and it's hard when it's hard to give up, but I think it's important that we give up. For many years, and also, he for many years he was drawing, his salary was more than double of mine, because I think he deserved it more than I did. you know and and by the way, all my top people in my company have access to my balance sheet and P&L. I share it with them. I don't hide anything from them. So I think we have to empower them for sure.
Correct. I'm
That
through, Mehul.
really is.
There are a lot of
learning.
questions. I would actually
Yeah.
really love to ask Bimal, but I think we are running short of time. It's already past 5:30.
I
You
am in no hurry.
should do a one-to-one with Bimal then.
Yeah,
You should
sure.
take time and do a
That's what.
one-to-one.
Maybe some
Yeah.
other time, Bimal.
Once this is all over, let's meet
Another.
for it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Another quick one. Will data security and security audit play an important role in the future?
Oh, yes. If you want to do work for some of these companies, one of the things which we did as initially when we did was we got into we had to get ourselves ISO 27000 certified. If it wasn't for ISO 27000, some clients didn't even want to talk to us, because that was they says that is a prerequisite for us to even have a conversation with you. So this was I'm talking about 2010. They are extremely concerned about their data and the security, and we are subject to audits all the time. So I think it's this is in many ways a prerequisite if you really want to get into high quality clients, especially global clients. This is something which you can't unfortunately escape.
And I think that would be the last one from. There's one who's asking, Sandeep Kulkarni is asking the impact of the recent government decision about banning the diary and calendar. And of course, going to impact all the printers drastically. In fact, I'd like to let Sandeep know that the All India Federation of Master Printers has written to the government authorities. And Tushar, you'd like to take that? You'd like to answer that? The
No,
impact of
even the
the diary
MMS,
and
along
calendar?
with,
Yes.
we are making a representation for the same. And but we have to move with times. I mean, I think the decision was a little harsh because it came into midst of a crisis. I thought it could have
Yes.
extended over the few years so that people could have decided what areas to move into.
Next.
So
Yeah.
giving a decision without consulting the Federation of Printers or the Paper Federation is actually not a wise decision at this stage. That is my personal feeling. Otherwise, this is going to happen. The digital turnaround is going to happen. So we don't have any options for that.
Yeah. And finally, one from Medhaji. I guess, Tushar, we'll keep that as the last one. Regulatory compliance. How much is pre-media company legally responsible for any mistake in content, as the customer must be printing in big quantities all over the world, especially in different languages? Are there any fine prints and contracts that you should avoid?
So technically, we are not responsible for the mistake because the buck stops with the company itself. But all of these have a clause where they would we would have to pay a monetary fine for any mistakes we make. And so with some of our clients, we actually have taken an insurance, performance insurance, which we pay, and we've not yet used, but then my finance people keep questioning why ये करने की जरूरत है. But I said, you know what, we all need to sleep well at night. So I have taken an insurance policy which protects me for, I think, more than €1 million or something of that sort, which is expensive, but it's important because finally, if there is a mistake, not only do you lose the business, that is gone. Okay, chalo, you lost the business. Ho gaya. But the last thing you want to do is get into any legal tangles with a giant, and because or he'll make you pay a sum of money which you can never really, it'll be hard for you to even, it'll get you out of business. So I think the way we've done it is through taking insurance contracts.
Yeah, I think that's really a wise thing that you've done, because if it all, God forbid, the security is compromised at any level, you're
Yeah.
absolutely covered. I think that's something really great that you've
Yeah,
done.
and I recommend even packaging printers, probably who are doing things on maybe I'm sure Ramesh Bhai has several of these policies which he's taken for his client to protect him against his clients. But I think this is something which we should look at. And I think the industry, MMS, EMPA should kind of facilitate something for be the facilitator between the insurance companies and us printers.
Bimal, what I'm going to request you to do is put in the chat box your email ID. So if people have any unanswered questions, they could probably reach out to you. Alternatively, guys, you could reach out to us at the MMS email ID as well.
Absolutely.
And
I'm happy to answer any questions. Happy to talk to someone if they do want to talk to me. Especially if they are the younger generation. I think it's happy to be a mentor to someone who wants me to. I'm not sure whether I'm the right person. There are many people on this webinar who could do a better job than me. Starting from Tushar Dhote and Uday Dhote. And Uday, I've also have the highest regards for both Uday and Tushar, and they're doing a fabulous job. So I think they would be better mentors, but I'm happy to also talk to anyone who needs any, guidance or advice, or, more so than guidance and advice, not make the same mistakes I did.
Mehul, there's one more question, last question. I don't know if we have the time, but I
Milind
think
Gupte?
yes, just take it
What
very fast
is
and then
the
we.
cycle period? What is the cycle period to update the platform for digital publishing?
Well, it's constant upgrades. As gone are the days when you have to, keep, any digital platform or any technology platform is a constant upgrades. You have to constantly test, and upgrade. And this is one of the reasons why Adobe has moved from a box to a subscription-based model. Adobe conducts 200 tests a week on their software, and and they are upgrading it constantly without you even knowing it. And their goal is to do 2,000 tests a week. So I think we cannot. The world is moving too fast, and if we have to look at uh, upgradations as part of our daily routine. Really, this should be part of your DNA. I can't. We don't do it as much, but that should be our goal.
So, Bimal, as I'm running through the chat, there are quite a few participants who are expressing their gratitude to you and thank you for
I thank you
giving
for
them
inviting me.
to and couple of them are saying eye openers, and they are so very happy to be here. And of course, on behalf of MMS, we'd like to express our sincere thanks to you for sparing your time, for making it possible. We know you're a busy man, but we request you to continue to be the blue-eyed boy for MMS and always be there for us like you've always been there. So once again, thank you so much for such a beautiful presentation, and we have so much to take back home today. So thank you very much. Tushar, you'd like to say something?
No, Jigar, if you can give the vote of thanks, please.
First of all, thank you, audience, attendees, for attending our webinar, and y'all are the inspiration that we keep coming up with more such educational webinars and people who would like to hear more. So thank you. And thank you, Team MMS, Tushar, Uday, Mehul, and rest of the team. A big thank you to Bimal Bhai. You are an inspiration to all the youngsters in the print industry. And definitely there's a lot to learn from you. And I am sure many of us will get in touch with you offline to even learn more. And we will definitely, if we can implement few things which you have implemented in your business, I'm sure we all will be successful in our business as well. So thank you, everyone. I will not waste too much time because we are already 15 minutes past 5:30. We will definitely come up with more such webinars in future, and feel free to contact us on our email IDs. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Jigar, can you share the slide of the email ID, please?
Yeah.
Vimal, personal thank you from me personally. I've bothered you a lot over the last few weeks.
We are friends, and you don't thank a friend. So please don't, you have all the rights and privileges. So don't have to thank me.
Yeah. I'm very pleased, and we had a fantastic webinar today. Hopefully, we will continue with some inspirational and motivational webinars so that the young crowd, the contemporary students or entrepreneurs who are joining their second generation or third generation business should actually interact with people like you in the future. So thank you once again.
Thanks.
Yes, Jigar.
Bye.
Thank you.
We can all leave. Jigar, just put the slide so that.
Just the MMS Managing Committee, please stay on.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, Bimal.
आमचा व्हिडिओ
Sorry.